TWAGAA presents the podcast on the book, Breaking into Cricketland, a Spanish executive's attempt to sell football in India, written by José Antonio Cachaza.
Welcome to today's deep dive. We are pulling all of our insights today from a single, incredible source. It's the memoir called Breaking into Cricketland, a Spanish executive's attempt to sell football in India.
Yeah, written by José Antonio Cachaza.
Right. It was recently published in 2026 by TWAGAA International. And our mission for you today is simple. Whether you're an executive preparing to lead an international team, a marketer trying to crack a foreign market, or, honestly, just someone fascinated by cultural collisions, we are going to extract the key professional and personal lessons from this 7-year journey. Usually, when a multinational corporation decides to expand into this massive foreign market, there's this expectation of mathematical certainty.
Oh, absolutely. The spreadsheet mentality.
Right. You look at the population size, calculate the disposable income, translate your marketing materials, and just roll out the product. You assume that because your thing is world famous over here, everyone everywhere else is just, waiting in line to hand you their money.
Which is almost never the reality on the ground.
Exactly. I mean, imagine trying to sell a brand new smartphone in a town where everyone exclusively communicates by telepathy.
Right. Yeah. You wouldn't just be making a hard sell.
No, you'd be fighting an entire cultural operating system. And today, for you listening, we're going to explore what happens when that exact corporate formula shatters. Okay, let's unpack
It's
this.
such a fascinating case study.
It really is.
And we really need to establish the stakes here right off the bat, because Cachaza wasn't just some casual observer. He was the executive explicitly tasked with taking LaLiga, which is, the premier Spanish football league, home to massive clubs like Real Madrid and Barcelona, and turning it into a commercial powerhouse in India.
Which is no small task.
Understatement of the year. I mean, the sheer scale of India is mind-boggling. You're talking about 1.4 billion people, multiple languages, vast, vast complexities.
Yeah.
And what the source material highlights is that historically dominant Western brands fail here because they rely on, ignorance and arrogance. They assume their Western corporate norms are universal laws of physics.
They just show up, demand an ROI by the next quarter, and then wonder why all the doors remain totally closed.
Exactly.
So to understand how to actually sell to a completely different culture, you first have to actually live in it.
Yeah.
And that brings us to what Cachaza did when he first arrived in Delhi. He made this highly personal, really deliberate choice about where to live that bypassed the corporate playbook entirely.
Yeah. He completely avoided what he calls the expat ghetto.
Right, those massive high-rise estates.
Exactly. The ones with the private swimming pools and international supermarkets that cater specifically to foreigners. They're basically air-conditioned bubbles.
Designed to insulate you from the very country you're supposed to be working in.
Right. And Cachaza realized that insulation is a fatal business flaw. So instead, she chose to live in Kalkaji, which is this bustling, chaotic neighborhood anchored by a local market.
He didn't want the international coffee chains. He wanted the roadside dhabas. And he took this immersion even further with non-corporate locals, right?
Oh, completely. He didn't rely on those high-priced corporate fixers. He built genuine relationships with everyday people, like he bought his fruit from the street carts roaming his neighborhood.
I love that detail.
And he took his laundry to the local street ironer. This is a guy who pressed shirts right there on the pavement using this heavy iron heated by glowing charcoal embers.
Wow.
Yeah. And he even adopted local sartorial traditions. He went to Khan Market, which he jokingly called his personal Savile Row, to have suits tailored. And when he was invited to a local Sufi wedding, he bought a white kurta and a Nehru jacket so he could dress in traditional Indian attire.
Okay, but wait. I have to play devil's advocate here for a second. How does buying fruit from a street cart or, wearing a kurta to a local wedding actually help a high-level sports executive hit his KPIs?
Well, what's fascinating here is that the source material makes it clear India rewards immersion over inspection.
Immersion over inspection. That's a great way to put it.
Right. By participating in the local economy and the culture, Cachaza was actively stripping away his own Western superiority.
He was humbling himself.
Exactly. If you insulate yourself in a high-rise, looking down from the 30th floor, the streets of Delhi just look like terrifying randomized chaos. But standing on the street forces you to learn the rhythm.
You see the underlying order.
Yes. And that humility allowed him to prepare his mindset for the boardroom.
But, grounding yourself in the culture is one thing. Eventually, you do have to face the professional mountain which is the actual business of sports in India.
And that mountain was huge.
Massive. So let's pivot from the personal immersion to the harsh corporate realities of the market. Because there was this incredible disconnect, the Spanish business illusion, basically.
Oh, the clubs back in Europe had completely unrealistic expectations.
They looked at India's 1.4 billion population and just assumed it would be easy money, right? Like an absolute goldmine for sponsorships.
Yeah, but they were wrong. Cachaza had to look at his own European counterparts and present the actual data. Out of that 1.4 billion people, only about 300 million actually formed the consumer class with the disposable income relevant to European football merchandise.
Still a big number, but a fraction of the whole.
Right. And more importantly, the market is entirely dominated by cricket.
Oh, yeah. The cricket ball.
Exactly. The book's foreword actually states that cricket isn't just a sport there. It's a parallel lingua franca. It is a civilizational metaphor. Everything else just exists in its shadow.
And that monopoly creates a massive infrastructure gap for football, doesn't it?
A huge gap. You have these local Indian sports executives who became incredibly wealthy and successful through cricket or politics, and they applied a cricket mentality directly to football.
Expecting world dominance right away.
Yes, but India lacked any grassroots football foundation. I mean, they had never even produced a homegrown player who made it to Europe's top leagues.
None at all.
None. And structurally, it was even worse for LaLiga. The local Indian Super League, the ISL, was already exclusively partnered with the English Premier League.
So LaLiga was entirely shut out.
Completely locked out. The British had established their influence decades earlier.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because I think of it like this. It's like walking into a crowded restaurant and loudly demanding a table just because you're famous in another country.
Oh, that's good.
Only to sit down and realize the restaurant exclusively serves a dish that you don't even make.
That is exactly what it was like.
So, faced with this cricket monopoly and a market that just doesn't care about European prestige, how does an executive actually get things done?
He had to radically alter his management and negotiation styles.
Which brings us to this incredible realization he had. The quote from the memoir is, "You don't sell to an Indian, the Indian buys from you."
Yes. That completely flips the dynamic.
So how did he navigate that? Because this is a deeply communal and hierarchical business environment, right?
Very deeply. Indian society is incredibly communal. You have these distinct traditional business communities like the Marwaris and the Banayas,
Right.
and they have generations of commerce in their blood. Breaking into those circles means establishing an immense amount of trust, and the primary mechanism for that trust is time.
Which Kachaza summarized as his mantra of drinking a lot of chai.
Exactly. He realized that rushing timelines or trying to artificially control the pace of a deal instantly ruined it.
Okay, but again, pushback here. Isn't drinking chai essentially just wasting time when you have corporate headquarters back in Madrid screaming at you for quarterly ROI?
From a Western perspective, maybe. But Cachaza realized that in India, relationship building is the work. It's not a prelude to the work, it is the work.
That is such a crucial distinction.
And the source material has this fascinating detail about how he learned local negotiation tactics. He actually read the Mahabharata and the Bhagavad Gita.
Wait, really? The ancient epic poems?
Yes, because he wanted to decode their business strategies. He understood from those texts that strategic cunning, or what might be translated as trickery, is almost a divine recommendation in local negotiations.
Wow. So it's not seen as malicious deceit.
No, it's just part of the game. It's how business is conducted. To succeed, Cachaza had to shed that image of the loud, intimidating foreign boss.
Especially since he was explicitly told he was coming across as intimidating.
Right. He actively had to soften his persona, and he learned to be seduced by local talent, like his agency, India on Track.
Right, and his right-hand colleagues, Akriti and Gary.
Exactly. He let them guide the strategy rather than just dictating terms from the top down.
Okay, so he's adapted his style, he's built his loyal local team. Now we move to the execution.
Yeah.
What were the actual specific steps he took to secure La Liga's foothold?
Well, his masterstroke was realizing that if you can't beat cricket, you have to join it.
Oh, this was brilliant. He signed Rohit Sharma.
Yes. He signed Rohit Sharma, the captain of the Indian cricket team, as La Liga's brand ambassador.
I mean, that is the ultimate coup.
It was incredible sports diplomacy because it bridged the gap between the two pagan religions of India cricket and football.
And it wasn't just a cynical branding exercise either, right?
Not at all. It was positioned as a mutual discovery. When they announced Sharma, it generated something like 500 articles.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it reached an estimated 1.5 billion people across different platforms.
So he wins the PR battle.
Hmm.
But he also had to win over these deeply skeptical broadcasters.
Right, because Sony was totally indifferent. They already had the cricket rights. And Viacom 18 was prioritizing their English programming.
So how did he handle them?
He knew he couldn't hard sell them. He had to make LaLiga organically desirable from the outside in.
By investing in the social fabric.
Exactly. He partnered with NGOs, like the Vicente Ferrer Foundation in Anantapur, supporting their grassroots football programs.
Which is such a smart move for long-term goodwill.
It is. And he even co-published a Spanish-Bengali football dictionary with the Instituto Cervantes.
So what does this all mean? When you look at all these moves together, Cachaza succeeded because he stopped treating sports diplomacy as a transaction. He treated it as a profound relationship.
He absolutely did.
So for you listening, if you are managing an international team or trying to enter a foreign market, let's distill this into 3 core professional takeaways.
Okay, lay them out.
Number 1, ignorance plus arrogance equals incompetence. You have to leave your Western superiority at the door. Your brand prestige means nothing if you don't respect the daily street-level reality.
That is so true.
Number 2, rely on local talent. You literally cannot succeed without empowering locals who understand the hidden rules of the game far better than you do. Let them lead.
Yeah, the Akritas and Garys of the world.
Exactly. And number 3, embrace the swarm. Don't fight the chaos. Understand that, like a swarm of bees, the market has an underlying order if you just zoom out and have the patience to see it.
And speaking of that swarm, the source material leaves us with a really provocative final thought.
What's that?
Cachaza notes that Indian football will develop slowly and uniquely, like that swarm of bees. It won't just neatly adopt the rigid European models.
Right.
So the question for everyone to ponder is this. When India finally does arrive on the global football stage, bringing the gravity of 1.4 billion people, will they just conform to the European standard? Or will their deeply communal, chaotic, and totally resilient cultural operating system force the rest of the sporting world to play by India's rules?
Man, that is a huge thought to end on. If you spend years figuring out how to sell to them, you might wake up to find they've rewritten the whole industry.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the source material. We hope you took some valuable insights away, and we will catch you next time.
Hope you enjoyed the podcast and would be keen to read Breaking into Cricketland by José Antonio Cachaza. You may order a copy of the book directly from the publisher's site, TWAGAA.com, or from Amazon.com. Thank you for listening.